Well, this is your KOZ Raw. Good morning. It is morning. This is your KOZ Raw, TJ Graney. And I am at a Christian, I think it's a Baptist pastors conference. Yes, that's what it is. You'd think I'd know where I am, but after a week of bebopping around, it's questionable on some days. But anyway, I was struck with this interesting idea. One of the reasons why we do KOZ, I think, is because the old way is broken in a lot of ways. The old method or model of just asking some kid in the neighborhood to show up at on Sunday and come to Sunday school is a model that has long since been broken. And what we found is we needed a new way to invite the boys in the community in a way that would be non-threatening, that would be exciting and extreme, and they would want to participate instead of dragging them in, sitting them at a table or in a desk for an hour, or whatever the situation might be. The old model that we used to use, which was beautiful. And the thought that I had was, there's a saying, you may be the only Bible that child ever sees. You may be the only Bible that boy ever sees. That's powerful. And so what I was thinking was, we don't want to miss or forget that we need to also be sharing the gospel with these boys. Now, I'm not talking about a grind on them and try and feed them full of a bunch of information and then cut loose. I'm talking about the opportunity to share the grace, the love and kindness, what we've experienced as believers and followers, and how Jesus helped us. A golden moment is when you share how Jesus did something for you as a young man. Maybe that time he spoke to you and you didn't know it was Jesus protecting you, or you didn't know it, or that you didn't have Jesus as a young man and how you wished he'd been there, or that you'd heard him. He was probably there, but that you didn't know how to hear him, or you just didn't know what to do with him. But anyway, we don't want to forget the gospel message. We do want to teach them how to use tools. We want to teach them how to navigate a pile of rocks and not be afraid of it, how not to be afraid of bugs and dirt and all the things that, and some boys have that and some boys don't. Some boys don't care about any of that stuff. They'll just eat dirt and they get scraped up. They don't even care. And others are not so much. I saw a video the other day, and it was a young man who had been raised by his mom and his grandmother and his sister. And man, he was really missing some important pieces of the puzzle for a young man. Some really important pieces of the puzzle on how to be a man. And so many of our boys today are stuck with that. Dad's not showing up, and they desperately want to know why. They want to know the answer to the questions. And we get a chance to do that. But we got to make sure that we don't forget the gospel. And I would just encourage you, before you share the scripture or the gospel that's in your curriculum for this month, spend some time praying about it and ask Jesus, how does this match? How does this scripture match me? What do you have to say to me, or what do you have for me with this scripture and the boys this month, Jesus? Ask him to give you the stories, the heart, the pieces that go with it. So you're not just another adult reading out of a book and expecting them to pick it up. I was around some really powerful men's ministry leaders, and they were talking about all their books and podcasts and all that stuff, and I just said, I love all that stuff. I read it, I listen to it, but what now? What do we do with that? How do we use that? How do we put together a multi-generational group of men and boys and just guys and train each other, do things together? How do we do this? Give us some meat for the bones. And you know what? KOZ is one of those places that all comes together. And so I'm bragging on you guys that you are this multicultural movement across the country, around the world, that's doing the most important thing, I think, or one of the most important things I think we need to do right now in this world. And with all that's going on and all the hardships and all the changes, we need strong men training up strong boys. And where does that happen? I don't think it's happening in a classroom in the church. I think it's happening in homes where dads are strong, training their boys, and then around fire pits where men are training up boys in groups. I don't know. Am I wrong? So, hey, don't forget to like this video, share it with your other HTLs. If you guys have questions, man, we knocked out a couple of the HTL roundups. Golly, talk about cool, talk about good. There's one left on the East Coast, and then we got Atlanta area. And so, man, if you haven't been to one and you can get to one, great. If not, make sure you plan next year to be at one of the roundups. So good. We got all the cool weather gear up on the website. If you haven't got a hoodie or a beanie or whatever cold weather gear put together for your KOZ, gear up, stock up now while we still got a bunch of that stuff. And man, we just love you guys. If there's a cool story that you have, we want to hear your cool story. Share your stories with us. We need to know what you got going on, and send us pictures of your boys. And we love you guys. Start the fire. Regulators, mount up.